Welcome to this episode of Fearless Aging. I'm Rico Cavella, and the title of today's episode is Broken to Unbreakable. You can make a comeback at any age. This is really an inspiring and amazing story. I think you're going to really enjoy it. So I'm going to play a quick message from one of our sponsors, and then we'll get right into it. Stop forcing down those massive pills that end up in your toilet, not in your bloodstream. Hello, I'm Rico Cavella. For the very first time in my 43 years as a personal trainer and wellness coach, I am endorsing and recommending a unique line of nutritional supplements. Superior Source produces an exclusive line of microlingual tablets that dissolve instantly under your tongue. I have a hard time swallowing large tablets and capsules, but these tiny tablets are the easiest to take I have ever found. These products are clinically tested for purity, potency, and have the highest rate of absorption. Microlingual tablets are ideal for those with digestive challenges and for infants and children, as there are no pills to swallow. They offer a full line of key nutritional supplements, including many for children. So why give these supplements a try? They're easy to take, highly absorbable, and inexpensive. Join thousands who have ditched their pills. One tablet under your tongue will make you a believer. Okay, here we go with Broken to Unbreakable. Hello, I'm Rico Cavella. Welcome to this episode of Fearless Aging. And we've got a great show for you today. The title of this episode is Broken to Unbreakable. You're not too old. You can make a comeback at any age. So we've got some great stories for you today. And our expert guest today, her name is Lori Volkommer. She's a competitive adult gymnast, author, entrepreneur, and investor whose story is rooted in resilience, reinvention, and longevity. After a spinal fracture at age 16 ended her gymnastics career, she spent decades believing that chapter was closed, until a second spinal fracture in her late 40s led her back into the sport. And at age 58, Lori competes nationally and internationally and has earned over 50 medals, challenging conventional beliefs about aging by prioritizing disciplined training, intentional nutrition, and a resilient mindset. That's so good. And she's the author of Broken to Unbreakable, the comeback I never saw coming. And she's passionate about helping other people build a strong body and mind so they can continue evolving at every stage of life. So this is just what Fearless Aging is all about. So Lori Volkommer, thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you, Rico. I'm really excited. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I love your story. I have a little bit of a similar story, not quite as dramatic as yours, but this is such a great message that we want to get out to our audience. So let's start by just briefly, just kind of briefly tell your story again a little bit, what happened to you, and then how you weren't doing anything after that age 16, and then tell us about how you got the second spinal fracture, and how did that get you back into becoming a gymnast again?
Yeah. So I was a competitive gymnast as a kid. I was pretty high level. I thought I was going to go on to college and compete. And I was in a competition and fell off the uneven bars and broke my back. Mm-hmm. And, in the concurrent days, found out I had a spinal fracture. They told me no more gymnastics. It was devastating. It was my life at that point. I trained like 24 hours a week and gave up a lot of my teenage years and all of that, went on with life, got married, had a family, started a business, tried to put the pieces back together to figure out who I was without the sport that I loved. Mm-hmm. So one day in my 40s, I'm going out the front door to bring my son his lacrosse stick because he forgot it at school. And there was black ice and I slipped and I fell on the concrete and I heard a crack again in the same spot. And I was like, oh dear. So found out, broke the same vertebrae, but the other side. I was diagnosed with spondylolisthesis, which is, if you're not familiar with that, on the side of the vertebrae, there's these little things called the pars denticularis, or I'm probably saying it wrong. But once they fractured, they don't heal. So what happened is, because I had both sides, the vertebrae, now the discs were able to slip. So I started rehabbing with PT and chiropractic so that I could strengthen my core and the muscles along the spine to do what my skeletal system couldn't do anymore. I didn't want to do surgery. They knew my story about gymnastics, and I rehabbed for a couple of years. I was doing Pilates, TRX. I had gotten back into movement because I missed it so much. And I was pretty strong. And my chiropractor knew my story. And he said, Lori, you're strong. You should go find a place to play because you can do gymnastics. There are things that you should stay away from, but you certainly could. And I was 49 then, by the time he said that to me. So my first thought was, what is he? I thought he was joking, honestly. or I thought he was like poking at me to see my reaction, but he wasn't. He kept prodding at me every couple of weeks. Now, at this time, it was 2016. The Rio Olympics were about to come on, and everyone was talking about Simone Biles. And for years, I did not watch the Olympics because it was too painful for me. But I was intrigued and curious. Turned it on, saw she was 41, 42 at the time, Oksana Chusovitina from Uzbekistan. It was her 8th Olympics. And she was running down the vault runway. And I couldn't take my eyes off the screen. And that was the thing. I needed to see the role model of somebody else doing it first to believe that I really could. It wasn't crazy. Because once that desire got in me, I just couldn't ignore it. So how did I get back? That was really, that was the main reason I came back, was somebody else planted the seed. Then I saw the evidence that it could be done. And then I decided to pursue it, which also was another hurdle because emotionally, it was scary. I'm much older now.
Yeah.
How am I going to walk into a gym emotionally? How am I going to feel after everything that I had been through when I was younger? Will my body cooperate? Will I have all these expectations that I can't meet? Going in the door that very first time, once I found a place to go to an open gym, was terrifying. I was so excited to go, but once I got there, I couldn't get out of the car. I was so afraid and reached out to my family. But once I did, and all those little hurdles, once I just kind of put one foot in front of the other and kept reminding myself, this is the mindset piece. We don't have to know the full picture. All we have to do is take the next step. You can't wait till you're ready. You'll never be ready. You just have to decide. You have to trust that little voice, and decide. And I couldn't believe when I walked in the door, I also thought there were going to be teenage girls snickering, like, who's this old lady and what is she doing here? But I walked in, no snickering girls. There were a bunch of parkour guys. I went in my little corner. The owner came over. We chatted. I started doing stuff. He spotted me. Muscle memory took over.
Muscle memory, yeah.
And it blew my mind. And so I kept going back. And initially, I was just playing around on the floor exercise, but they did have uneven bars and a balance beam there. And I started getting curious then about that too. And one night, I hopped up on the balance beam and started walking back and forth. It's 4 feet in the air. It's only 4 inches wide. It was pretty scary. But, I started walking on a line on the floor and trying things, a cartwheel, a leap, a turn, and decided to get back up there. And the same thing was happening. And I eventually went over to the uneven bars, which was a lot harder to do because that is how I fell and broke my back. And I looked up at that high bar the first time and I thought, ooh, I don't know if I'm ready for that. But once I was, and I kept putting that one foot in front of the other, and I just, I couldn't believe what I could still do. So that's how it began.
That's a great story. Well, tell us then, about how long did it take you before you said, I'm getting ready to go into a meet, I'm going to compete?
Well, that's another crazy story. So at this facility I was going to, they didn't have any kind of team structure or anything. Once I started getting on that other equipment, and now I had a lot of evidence that it wasn't crazy for me to think this. And that burning desire really started to build. And one night I left after I was swinging on those uneven bars, and I put like a few skills together, a back hip circle and like a little dismount, and I landed and I felt like I was 16 again. And I felt that movement. And driving home, I just became obsessed with this question in my head. I wonder if I can compete again. I have so much unfinished business. And ultimately, I ended up at the gym that I had taken my kids to when they were younger, and they did gymnastics. And I had hoped that the same owner, Bonnie, would still own the gym and remembered me. She never remembered my story, though. So I walked in the door one day. She happened to be there. I told her what I wanted to do, what my story was. Because also at this point, the thinking is that gymnastics is for kids, right? That it's not for adults. But I'll tell you, adult gymnastics is a thing. I didn't know it at this time, though, because when I was searching things online back in 2016, nothing was coming up. So I didn't even know going to her if it was even, is there a forum that I can compete in? And when I went to her and she said, okay, let's do a private lesson to assess your skill level. And yes, you can compete as an adult. We had the private lesson. She assessed my skill level. She said, oh my gosh, yes, we have to compete you. I got ready in 12 weeks for my first competition. It had been 33 years. And I think back now, and that inner 16-year-old was in charge. She really helped me a lot to challenge myself.
So there is competitive gymnastics, for at any age, all around.
At any age, yes.
That's so good. That's so good. And then, well, just real briefly, we're always starting to run out a little bit short of time. So just real briefly, then tell us all about all your success. I know you've won like over 50 medals.
Yes, I'm not at home right now. Usually when I do a podcast, I have my medals behind me because, it's what they represent. It's not even the fact of winning the gold medal. It's everything that I had to do to get to that point. And I've competed internationally. I ended up finding adult gymnastics after that first year. Just quickly, I tore my ACL before my second competition. My goal that first year when I came back was to make it to the World Championships. And I was only competing floor at that time. So after I tore my ACL, I said, when I come back, first of all, yes, I'm coming back. And I said, I'm not just doing floor anymore. I'm going to do vault, bars, and floor, not balance beam. I do that now, but initially there was history there in the past too, and I just didn't want to do that, And I made the World Championships that following year after a lot of hard work in the 19 and over category, and I won the gold medals. I was 50 years old.
That's so good. Well, Lori, that's such an amazing story. So what the message here that we want to get out to the audience is that no matter what you think that you're not capable of anymore or what you want to accomplish, you can actually do it. It doesn't have to be extreme. That's what Lori did. That's pretty extreme. Competing in gymnastics is that's quite a task. But no matter what, you can apply the same resilience and mindset that Lori did. No matter what you feel that you're not able to do or you want to do, you can make a comeback. You just got to step up and actually do it. That's such a great story. Okay, so let's tell us. I want to talk a little bit about your book and tell us how you got motivated to write your book.
Well, when I came back, I was blown away by the things I was able to do at my age, and I would share on social media. My friends and family knew what I was doing. I would post videos. And often people would say to me, you should write a book, you should write a book. And I always kind of felt that there was probably a book in me, but didn't really know. I would start, I'd stop. In 2023, I was in a very bad car accident and I was rear-ended and had a concussion. Wow. As I was healing up from that, I also, like 6 weeks later, had an incident with a knife that severed the flexor tendon off my pinky and I needed surgery. So I was out of gymnastics after coming back from a second ACL surgery. So it was just a very difficult time. And I was working through a lot of things internally and emotionally and spiritually. And one day I just heard a little voice in me say, Lori, now's the time to write your book. Pain over, purpose over pain. There are so many things that you've been through in your journey that can help other people. It's time for you to share it. And so that's how it came to be.
That's a great message.
Yeah.
I just want to point out that what you just said there too is, even though again when you had the next accident and all those things, what seems bad, there's always a silver lining. And so
100%.
what that made was give you the time to actually write your book, so you could actually inspire other people. So it's amazing how things turn out, isn't it? How things, one thing leads you to the next thing, and it turns out that was the best thing for you.
100%. I'll even go as far as saying those challenges, the harder they are, the better the outcome can be.
Right.
They are meant to change us. They are meant to push us for growth. Those things that we want in our life, they go there to say, the universe, whatever it is that you believe in, go ahead. Push outside your comfort zone. Challenge your limits. Get a support team. Start before you're ready. Don't rely on motivation. Rely on discipline. Because motivation comes and goes.
That's why we're here, to have challenges. And as you said, the bigger the challenge, the bigger the outcome, and the bigger the benefit, and the farther you can elevate your life and serve other people. That is so good. So we'll just talk a little bit about who you think the book is for, and what would they really get out of reading your book.
Well, you don't have to be an athlete to read my book. I mean, my story, for me, the things that I'm sharing came from the sport that I love and that I do now. But honestly, they are just lessons for life, really. How many people, women especially, they raise a family, they get into their 40s or their 50s even, and need to reinvent themselves. How am I going to come back to a career, something for me? I mean, it is a lot of the things that I talk about in there, and the things that I do for myself apply in any situation for life. Yeah. They really do.
That's so good. Yeah, you are the master of resilience, and that's what it's all about. I mean, that's what fearless aging is all about. You got to be resilient and realize that it doesn't matter what your age is or where you're currently at. You can definitely upgrade yourself in any aspect of your life. You can actually do it. You're a perfect example of that. I have a story too, but I'm not going to take the time to tell my story. But I just want to say that I've done something similar that you have done. Again, not quite so as dramatic as yours, but I can definitely verify that you can actually do it. You can definitely reinvent yourself. So I know you also have a free gift for our audience when they go to your website, and we'll put all that information in the show description, how they can contact you and go to your website, how they can get a copy of your book, but also talk about the free download you have there. It's called the Unbreakable Starter Guide.
Yeah, so it's a lot of the things that I have learned that I do in my life on how to be unbreakable, because life is going to continue to hand us things. And we are capable of so much more than we give ourselves credit for, I break down things in, smaller steps, because for me, that makes it manageable, having a big grand plan. No, I don't really. Do I have a goal in mind? I always have a goal in mind, but really it's always about just taking the next step. It's always just as simple as taking the next step.
Yeah, it's like that famous Chinese proverb: "The journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step." Right?
Yeah.
You just step up and do it, and that's such a great message. And thank you, Lori, for that great message. And that's really what we want our audience to know. No matter where you're at, whether it has to do with your health or your business or sports or what's going on in your life, you have the ability to turn it around and reinvent yourself and be resilient, and you can do amazing, great things. You're a perfect example of that. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think we just really are out of time, Lori. So, what last words can you give to our audience to actually inspire them to step up and take action?
Well, you're never too old. It's never too late. You just have to start. Find a group of people that believe in you because community is really important too. And you provide that here, Rico. So, this is a great place for people to start and rely on each other because you need
Absolutely
it.
right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Laura, well, thank you so much. Thank you for what you're doing. You're doing some great things and really making a big difference in a lot of people's lives. So thank you
Thank
for being here. Thanks to our audience. And I like to always end my shows with Einstein saying, knowledge without action is useless. So we always give you some great knowledge and inspiration and information, but you got to take action on it. So thank you,
Yeah.
Laura, and thank everybody for being here.
Thank you, Rico.
Okay, I hope you got get inspired and you're ready to take action and make a comeback if that's what you need to do. All right, I'm going to play another short uh, message from one of our sponsors, and then we'll have our resident naturopathic doctor, Dr. Jonathan Glass, with his weekly tip.
In a perfect world, we would all be happy, healthy, and successful. But stress, family, genetics, and life's little surprises take their toll on our brains, our bodies, and our psyche. And our quality of life suffers because we're not functioning at our best. Well, you can start by training your brain with the Quantum Mind method. This is not a game, and it's not a toy. It's developed by the world's only brainwave entrainment engineer, backed by over 40 years of research and development. It's 100% natural and couldn't be easier to use. With regular listening, your brain will naturally become stronger, more efficient, your most reliable ally, and all with almost no effort. You can achieve anything you want and get the most out of your life with the Quantum Mind method. The world is yours, so take it. Take it now.
All right, here's our naturopathic resident, Jonathan Glass.
I keep seeing patients, especially the last couple of years, with the exact same pattern. And that pattern is people waking up at around 3 in the morning. Now that's really interesting because in Chinese medicine and Ayurveda, these ancient systems of medicine, the liver organ kicks in around 3 o'clock in the morning. And what that means is that the responsibility of the liver and all the amazing things that it does are meant to take place, especially around 3 in the morning. Many of these people who are having sleep problems were drinking alcohol at night, or they were eating really late at night, not giving their body enough time to digest, process, and detoxify. And what happens? Two things happen. One is the blood sugar crashes in the middle of the night. And when that happens, the liver has, the adrenals kick in and they stimulate the liver to release sugar into the blood to stabilize the blood sugar. But in doing that, when the adrenals kick in, when the brain starts going low in sugar, the adrenals kick in, stimulates the liver, and you wake up in a jolt. The other thing is due to toxicity and stress, because the liver manages detoxification and what's called the free flow of qi. The liver will actually become stimulated around 3 in the morning, and in its efforts to detoxify the body, the body wakes up and can't go back to sleep. So what are the remedies? One is don't drink alcohol at night. Don't drink alcohol, period. Or if you're going to drink it, then do it really, really minimally, because it'll put stress on the liver and that will wake you up. Many people can fall asleep no problem with alcohol, but they wake up and have a horrible sleep. The other thing is to eat at least 3 hours before you go to sleep. In fact, the sleep before midnight is the best sleep you can possibly have. The other thing is to, when you go to sleep, do some breathing and deep relaxation. That not only stabilizes the nervous system, but will actually help to balance blood sugar. So you have a better chance of sleeping through the night. All right. Have a great day.
All right, we'll end today's show with a message from me. And be sure and contact our guests and our sponsors. I promise you they have some great information and great products that'll make a big difference in your life.
In your 60s, 70s, and 80s, you were healthier, stronger, with more vitality than in your 40s. It's not genetics, it's not luck, it's the ageless living lifestyle.
Hello, I'm Rico Cavaglia, creator of the Ageless Living Lifestyle. I've had the good fortune to work with hundreds of individuals just like you who greatly improve their overall health and well-being. When my clients aren't just staying healthy, they're out hiking mountains, playing sports, and feeling better in their 70s and 80s than they did in their 40s. My clients and I are living agelessly, and I know you can as well. So let's have a friendly conversation about your personal aging challenges and your goals. There's no pressure, just an honest conversation about where you are now and where you want to be, and whether the ageless living lifestyle is a good fit for you.